am the opposite of a musical theater triple threat. I don't sing, I don't act, and I can't dance. Well, at least none of you would pay me to do any of those things, and some of you might actually pay me to stop doing those things. But I don't aspire to be a performer at this stage in my life. When I turned 48, I got a phone call and convinced myself that I could one day write the next great musical to make it to Broadway. June 9th, 2017. I glance at the caller ID. Boca Raton, Florida? Miss Bixler, I heard you talking on NPR about your house. Young girl growing up in a Frank Lloyd Wright house. You tell a great story. It's a great story. Thank you. I'm a movie producer. Can you tell me your name again? I'm rummaging through the kitchen junk drawer, desperately trying to find a ballpoint pen that works. I made a movie starring Neve Campbell, and I'm friends with Ed Asner. What do you say? You send me a screenplay by Monday, and I sees what I can do. Today's Friday, I tell him. Oh, okay, well, what about Tuesday then? So this, in dramatic writing lingo, is what you call an inciting incident. It's an event that propels a character on a journey. Now, one person's inciting incident can be, transformative, and for another, it can be a non-event. This phone call from Mr. Brooklyn Accent from Boca Raton was my call to action. For this 48-and-a-half-year-old part-time bookkeeper and mother of two who wrote a memoir about her childhood home designed by Frank Lloyd Wright when she was 40, this request from Mr. Brooklyn Accent set me on my journey. Hang up. I tell him I'll think about it, and I begin my Google queries. Yes, Neve Campbell was in a B movie that he produced, and then I type in NPR and then my mystery caller's name, jackpot. Up pops a series of Facebook posts. I mean, this is his shtick. This is his routine. Mr. Brooklyn Accent from Boca Raton catches an intriguing segment on NPR, calls the interviewee, and convinces them to write a screenplay. Now, the consensus on the postings is that he's legitimate in a straight-to-video kind of way. So all weekend, I can't stop thinking about my never-before-considered future. A screenplay writer. Wow. I mean, if a total stranger from Boca thinks I can write a screenplay in a weekend, what's stopping me from writing a musical? I mean, I love musicals. And by Sunday, I'm convinced that I can write a Broadway-bound musical before I'm 50. The fact that I've never written a song, a lyric, a libretto before doesn't even seem to faze me. I mean, in 2017, I don't think I really knew what a libretto was, but it is a song-filled script used for operas and musical theater shows. Within a week, I tracked down 3 potential candidates to help me write my musical. One is a recent musical theater graduate from Ithaca College. 2, a friend of a friend of a friend who writes film scores in Hollywood. And 3, my tennis partner's daughter's classically trained music major boyfriend. So I give each candidate these 3 sets of lyrics. Now, I think lyrics might be too strong a vocabulary word at this stage in my development. Maybe like rhyming texts, poems. But the Ithaca College graduate is the clear winner, and we set out to find a competition. I love a deadline. And we write over a dozen songs in record time. 2 days before the submission entry, my collaborator texts me and he dumps me. So this is what's referred to in musicals as the setback. Obstacles and conflicts make for great drama in musicals, but in real life, they suck. Okay? I mean, I'm 48-and-a-half years old right now. My make it to Broadway goal by 50, it's looming. Self-doubt begins to set in. I mean, if I only started this journey when I was 24 or 36, imagine where I'd be now. And then I realized when I was 24, I was worried about student loan payments and finding enough money for rent and groceries. When I was 36, I was juggling QuickBooks accounting reports and doing puppet shows for my kids. I mean, I couldn't be a musical theater writer before I was 48 because I didn't have the luxury to even consider what was entailed in becoming a musical theater writer. So I take my Frank Lloyd Wright musical, scenes and songs, I file them away, and I decide to strategize. I take a crash course, homeschool version, in Musicals 101. I read everything I can about musicals. I watch YouTube videos and listen to podcasts and audiobooks. I sign up for free trials of esoteric streaming services such as Broadway HD and National Theatre UK. I take online and in-person streaming classes, traveling to such glamorous locales as Evanston, Illinois, and Iowa City. God, I am so hot. I just feel like it's so warm in here. It's crazy. Oh, no, I know what that is. That's menopause. You see, I'm having a midlife musical theater crisis. It's messy, it's exhilarating, and it's being set to show tunes. So between hot flashes, I decide to apply to the Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program at New York University's Tish School of the Arts, without telling my husband and not telling my kids either. Now, I'm 52 years old now, with an undergraduate degree in political science from Cornell University. The last time I applied to graduate school was for business school. I got accepted, and I decided to take a one-year gap year that's now stretching to 30 years, okay? I fill out this application awash in guilt and secrecy. And this application is daunting. It's a dozen long-form essay questions and a series of scene and lyric writing exercises. The next hurdle, attach your college transcripts. This is no small feat. I think they're in microfiche in some warehouse in Ithaca, New York right now. And then finally, pay the $65 application fee. Now, luckily for me, I'm the bookkeeper of the family, so unless my husband starts entering the itemized credit card bills into Quicken, I'm probably safe. A few weeks later, an email arrives from NYU. Good news, you've made it to the next round. Bad news, you have to come clean to your husband. So this bombshell takes a little while for my husband to process. He's just retired from his corporate legal job, and we just finished paying off our last student loan payment for our youngest child. My husband envisions relaxing in our home in Southern California, perhaps picking up some new hobbies. I, meanwhile, am bursting with excitement over this new musical theater adventure, and he's dreading the prospect of moving 2,800 miles across the country. I tell him, listen, I haven't even gotten in yet. And he starts reading online Reddit posts about what it's like at NYU Tish's Graduate Musical Theater Writing Program for participants and their partners. I mean, this is like Googling your symptoms when you aren't feeling well. Soon you're convinced that you have an incurable disease and 2 months to live. March 2021, I get the acceptance to NYU. There is one condition. You are not to work on your Frank Lloyd Wright musical. You're going to have to wait a little longer, Mr. Wright. So, my first assignment. I am paired with a 22-year-old musician from Miami. 2 of the sweaters and the winter jacket I packed for grad school are older than my first collaborator at NYU. We have to write a song called #I forgot to charge my phone. I stay up all night working on this song, music first. So I'm trying to set lyrics to his rhythmically complex, rapid-fire song. I mean, this is still the orientation, and I've already pulled an all-nighter. I'm like, am I too old for this? But we have to present the song the next day in front of all my classmates and the faculty, and I'm bestowed with a nickname for the remainder of the program, Mixmaster Bixler. Now, my Frank Lloyd Wright musical, it's still simmering in the back burner, but other musical theater projects are flourishing, including my master's thesis that features Brazilian body percussion music. Yep, and that is why I don't sing, I don't dance, and why I sit behind a computer. But I do now know how to write a song, lyrics, a libretto, and how to collaborate with my incredibly talented composer and collaborator from Brazil, Carlos Bausis. So I recently came across a notepad with a name scrawled across the page. Harvey Rockman, Mr. Brooklyn accent from Boca Raton. It's been nearly 6 years since I got that fateful phone call, my inciting incident. I want to call Harvey and tell him the great news, but instead I decide to Google his name, and I'm met with his obituary. He had died 2 months after he called me. So, last February, Carlos and I were sitting in a darkened theater in New York City, in an off-Broadway theater, watching Barba, Brazilian body percussion musical that we wrote. And I could hear Harvey's voice inside my head. When I heard you on NPR, I knew you tell a great story, a great story. Thank you.